Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. That is the Alabama Crimson Tide. They do take care of business. They do beat Western Kentucky 63-0. And I think if you're an Alabama fan, that's about as good as you could have expected coming into the first game of the Kalen Deboer era. Now, I'll be quick on this, but the bottom line is this. Look, people are going to say, Torres, why are you making a big deal of Alabama beating Western Kentucky? It's only Western Kentucky. Alabama is supposed to do this. Okay, yes, I get that. And I agree 100%. But at the same time, a couple things. One, you can sit there and say, well, it's Western Kentucky, you're supposed to win. Well, let's just go back to a year ago with this Alabama team. Now, granted, it was before Jalen Milroe was out for this game. We know why. But in the out-of-conference, they beat South Florida 17-3 in an out-of-conference game. So don't tell me it's only Western Kentucky. But two, Alabama's the only program. We're going to spend a little bit more time on them because Alabama's the only program that lost the greatest coach in the history of college football in the offseason. And they're the only one that's been told the dynasty's dead. It's over. You guys stink. You're going to be terrible. You've been passed by this program, that program, this program, that program, whatever. And so forgive me for taking a second to acknowledge Alabama look like they are not going to miss a beat at all. First of all, again, you don't want to overreact to Western Kentucky, but there were a couple really positive signs. First of all, defense was awesome. And this, by the way, is part of the Kalen Deboer conversation that I think gets missed. And this is the part that I have discussed at length on this show, is that for anyone who's criticizing Alabama, okay, let's just think about it at the most basic level. Whether you like Alabama, hate Bama, whatever. Let's just talk about Deboer. Deboer last year went 14-1 and played for a national championship. You probably know that. He beat Dan Lanning twice. Maybe you remember that. He beat Steve Sarkisian in the playoff. By the way, the year before, beat Sark in the bowl game, beat Lanning in the regular season. So two guys that everybody said would have been a better fit at Alabama than him, he is 5-0 against in the last 2 years, played for a national championship last year. But here is the thing that people forget. This roster that he has right now, this second, is the best roster that he's ever had. So he's coming off a 14-1 season, beats Lanning twice, beats Sark, and this is a better roster than he had a year ago. So I never bought this notion that Deboer was going to stink. Recruiting has been through the roof. We've talked about that all offseason. But then on top of that, think about what we saw on Saturday. I know you don't want to overreact. And I know Jalen Milroe only threw the ball 9 times. But Jalen Milroe looked confident. He looked poised. He looked like he didn't feel like he had to take off running every single time, although he did carry the ball plenty. But I bring it up because you look at Jalen Milroe. He looked confident, 7 of 9 passing, 200 yards. Ryan Williams, the true freshman, really, I thought an important recruit for Kalen Deboer, was committed to Bama. He wasn't a December signee. He was a February signee who reclassed. And so when Saban left, he was a kid that decommitted, and there was talk he was going to go to Auburn, talk he was going to go somewhere else. Well, he ends up staying at Alabama. He finishes with 2 touchdown catches. And then the defense, right? Because again, even if you think Deboer is a step up offensively, well, what's the defense going to look like? Defense holds Western Kentucky to 145 yards of total offense. By the way, Keon Sabb, a transfer from Michigan, a pair of interceptions. And so, again, I don't want to oversell it, but you look at this Bama team. Remember, best team that Kalen Deboer's ever had. I think he's already like a top 3 coach in college football. Obviously not going to put him ahead of Kirby Smart, but I think you could make an argument he's with anybody else. And you start to look at the schedule. And this is what I find so interesting about the schedule conversation, right? We look at it in June and July, and it looks so daunting. Well, you go to Wisconsin in 2 weeks. Wisconsin struggled. Not saying that it's a gimme. Not saying that at all, but I'm saying Wisconsin did not look great. We'll see. South Carolina's on the schedule. They stink. Vanderbilt's on the schedule. They stink. Georgia, by the way, did not look unbeatable against Clemson. So I just bring it up because I thought it was a great, great, great effort on opening night by Alabama under Kalen Deboer. No, you don't want to oversell a single game against a bad opponent, but I do think that matters.